Welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive Safe Dave, Sir Rick, and the producer here to bring you what you're certainly to find very entertaining, very exciting day of news. Drive Safe Dave. Let's start it with the shirt. 35 speed limit and you'll turn over, or what?
Caution, 35 mile an hour speed limit, possibility of rollover. I mean, you have a rollover possibility in that condition, usually on a turn.
Gotcha. So if you drive 35 miles an hour, you're going to turn over?
If you go over 30, more than 30, you have the possibility of a rollover.
So there's no chance if you're going 35 or under? Is that safe to say?
I don't say no chance. There's always, if the wind is at 100 miles an hour,
I just feel like
you have a possibility.
I feel like in Drive Safe world, there should be signs everywhere.
It's just a sign. It's a caution sign. You know what? What typically this sign is for, Sir Rick, is that rollovers have occurred in that area because people were going faster than 35 miles an hour. So they said, you know what? It's probably need to warn people that it's a little bit dangerous in this area and at this time. So that's what the caution sign's for.
All right. You heard it first here on BCB Live, safest station in the nation. Drive Safe. We have the Final Four right around the corner. And I tell you what, I couldn't be more excited than to order some chicken wings. I wish I lived in Granbury, Texas, because they have drones that are going to start delivering chicken wings on this day. They have to go with a mile radius. They're literally delivering drones. Are going to be delivering chicken wings.
Hot wings that have flown for the first time
so
because chickens don't fly, but we're going to fly them for the first time.
I'm pretty pumped up about that. So FAA opened up some rules to free up that area, but a mile radius.
Who's doing it? Is it a big
chain? It's Flytrex is who's doing that. Flytrex is the drones delivering wings in the Lone Star State of Texas.
Man, I'm okay. So, but are they associated with a particular chain of chicken wing people? Like,
you know what it says
Buffalo
here?
Wild Wings.
It says Brinker International, so they own Chili's, Bar, Maggiano's, Little Italiano,
some Italian chicken wings.
Say chicken. But they are delivering chicken wings, so from somebody. So that's pretty freaking.
Is it from Chili's? They got chicken wings at Chili's.
All right, I'm not going to argue with you. I get it on this, but so chicken wings being delivered by Flytrex, yes, drone. A pretty cool story we have here. Did you check it out?
No, I didn't check out the chicken wing story. I'm sorry. I missed out. Of all the things that I'm going to miss out on.
There's only 3 stories in here.
I don't even see that story, and I'm trying. Something's going on.
You know what? You get what you pay for when you watch BCB Live. That's a fact. Hey, drive safe. Let's hop into 81. We had the major accident yesterday, and we spoke about it yesterday afternoon. We spoke about it during many conversations on the phone. If that, the situational awareness, Dave, they did get 81 cleared up yesterday.
Midnight last night. I mean, it took that long to actually reopen, and they had drones out there, and they continued to dig out. They even extricated somebody late yesterday from a vehicle. But I'm telling you that was a difficult position to be in, and it is not good. And you saw the pictures. It was a lot worse than. When you first saw the video, you were like, oh, okay, that looks bad. That looks like a bad. It just kept going and going and going.
I thought the video was pretty bad. I mean, you could just, even though you couldn't see anything else for a minute, you could still hear the slamming of the vehicles one after another. And that situational awareness, again, it's something we have to continue to face. And it's not just the snow. It's not just the fog. It's that wind as well. Last night at 2:30 in the morning, we saw winds just increase from Iowa all the way down to Texas. We've got to be aware of what's going on. You've got to use the technology that's available, windy.com, the weather app, anything you have, grandma, grandpa who lives up somewhere in that weather. Listen, that wind, the rain, the snow, the ice, you've got to be aware of of the situations around you, or even, Dave, where you're going to.
Yeah, I'll tell you that it doesn't, and it's more than that. It's fog, it's smoke from these fires that are occurring out there. It's everything that you talk about when you talk about situational awareness. That when you can't, I hate it when you can't see when you're driving, and fog and smoke. Those two are the two things that scare me the most. I'll turn around on a hurricane. I'll turn around at or I'll stop during ice. But I'll tell you, running into a fog bank and blinded immediately is absolutely scary, and that's what happened to these people. They ran into a whiteout condition on a squall.
Yeah, but again, we want to make sure that we remind you that to pay attention to use the technology that you do have available. We did see some warnings yesterday up there, but it's no different than getting a warning of the wind, right? We know we have wind gusts, and if you're dragging an empty trailer, you're dragging a trailer that's 20,000 pounds, and the winds are blowing 50, 60, 80 miles an hour gust. Listen, it's no time to be on the road.
Bad idea. You can easily get knocked over on any 45 mile an hour wind will knock over a trailer.
Yeah,
especially
we've seen videos of that as well. And Dave, and when you're taking a turn such as what you see right there, and it's a windy condition, odds are that's going to help. That could help kind of just take you over the edge, right?
Absolutely, it's not a good thing, especially since the force is going to continue to push the trailer that way on the turn. The wind will push it over even further. You got to be really careful out there on these. And this sign, it is about turns. We were talking about turns today, so I wanted to make sure we had a sign to propose that.
That was weird.
What?
You just that well, I like it. I don't know where you're going with that.
Well, we're going to talk about turns today, and I brought a turn shirt in.
I got you.
I'm sorry.
No.
I didn't do the wind thing. Yeah, I would see there it is, and Rick threw a curveball and hit me with a wind. So situational awareness. I should have been prepared for the high winds.
All right. Hey, listen, we got more to go. We're going to talk a little bit about Russia. We're going to talk maybe some clean air rules up in Washington as well. Lots and lots to talk about. And you only get it here on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive safe, Dave. Fuel got updated again yesterday. DOE and fuel again continues its rise, and the freight continues its decline. Rejections continue its decline. And Dave, it spells it spells some dangerous times for the independent contractors out there right now.
I think last year, in 2018, they called it a bloodbath. I think we're headed towards a difficult moment going forward, especially with fuel prices remaining as high as they are.
Talk to me about that. You say it's you call it a bloodbath or difficult. What do you mean by that?
I mean a lot of probably companies failing, not as they did in that time, like small companies, independent owner-operator companies, not being able to sustain that kind of expense plus to run and to be successful.
Yeah, we saw most of that in 2019. 2018 had that phenomenal start of the year. That beginning of 2018, the first 6 months of the year, that everybody went out and bought new trucks, went out and bought new equipment, grew their company because it was a time that the market was never going to change, only to be followed by the worst 18 months that we've seen in a long time, really from August of 2019 all the way, or of 18 all the way through 19 till really almost March of 20.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit.
Then COVID hit.
Yeah, and then COVID hit, and then we had that. And what Dave is referring to are the independent contractors that are out there, really the ones running under their own authority. It doesn't affect as much, the independent contractors leased onto companies, although I will say this, those of you that are getting paid that percentage pay, you may be struggling right now. And that struggle is the fact that you're sitting there, fuel's going up, even if you're leased onto a company, right? And you're getting paid percentage. Well, the fuel continues to go up, and for some reason, maybe your rates continue to go down, and you're trying to tell that company, I don't want that load. How can that same load that paid me $2,000 a month ago only pay $1,200 this month?
That's the market.
And It's real simple. That's the market. As we continue, again, I'm just going to keep stressing this, as we continue to see a decline in freight, and I'm going to say I feel like it's kind of getting stable at about 13,400 shipments a day. So still a lot of freight, more than we see typically during this time of the year, just not as great as last year. 13,004 freight's kind of stabilized right there. Rejections are significantly down, though, down now below 14%. So we see, just not as much freight as used to be out there on the market, on that spot market. And it's very, very possible that today that you are going to, on that spot market freight, lose about 50 to 60, 70 cents a mile off what you were getting just 30 to 45 days ago.
Yep, the market's turned that much. And when that many people are vying for the same load, the market's going to drive the price down, and you're going to see and be affected by that change negatively 100%. And that trend is not, and looks like it's continuing, right, Rick? That's moving downward and downward and downward. It doesn't look like it's
continue its trend down. And for those trucking companies out there that or brokers that are out there, what that means for you, you've got to really go back and reevaluate what you're paying your carrier. You know what? Because if you think if you're paying the carrier the same thing that you were paying them a month ago, I'm going to tell you something. You're not going to win that load very much. You may not win it today or tomorrow. It may be gone. You may be wondering, how come I'm not getting that freight anymore? Well, here you go. When you play on that brokerage side of the business, you are all dependent upon the margin. You're dependent upon the market of the freight today. So if you were paying a carrier $2,000 last month for that load, and you wanted to make 10% margin on it, right? You're going to bid it out at $2,200. You get the load, you make your $200, and you go to bed. If you're still doing it at $2,000, but the rates are going down, everybody else is bidding at $1,500, you're not winning that load.
Nope.
And the other carriers, you're saying, man, I don't know how they're doing it. Well, it's because they're paying their carriers a lot less than they were paying them just 30 days ago.
That's correct.
You've got to make sure you're looking at your markets, that you know how many trucks are coming into your market. How much freight do you normally ship out of your market? As we begin to get into, Dave, this springtime, we do know some things, right? We're going to have the agriculture start shipping out. We're going to start seeing a little bit of produce going on. Yep. That's going to do something with those reefers. The reefer freight today, again, that's even dipping down during this point. So we see the reefer freight going down. Well, that's just a matter of time before that starts picking back up again.
Yeah, especially from the agricultural areas, borders, the South, Florida, California, you're going to start seeing those areas start to pick up, especially with the reefer freight and those normally regional time areas that reefer freight picks up.
Yeah, and then we'll also start seeing the normal flatbed freight start picking up. And we've seen even a decrease in the flatbed side. But here it is, right? We have an infrastructure bill that we have to start repairing the roads and the bridges. That alone should take care of the flatbeds. And then you have the home improvement, the Home Depots, the Lowe's, those folks that are shipping out that product. You're talking Atlanta, Georgia, you're talking that Georgia area, that all of a sudden you'll start seeing that spike of freight move up again. So it's not all done. This next month is pretty critical. Dave, as we move into end of quarter, right? We're at the end of the quarter. Well, I mean, there's not a lot of excitement going on.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about. When it's end of quarter, the shippers are just shooting out freight. We got to get it out. We're not seeing a lot of it.
Yeah, I got to make my budget. I got to make my budget. I got to make my goal. I got to make my bonus. I got to make my bonus. I got to get this stuff out of here. And manufacturers, everybody's trying to pump it out at the last. I haven't seen a lot of that going on.
Yeah, just it's curious times. But again, what I want to just go out there and say is it's not what we saw in 2019.
No.
And I'm going to tell you the difference, in my opinion, between, say, 2019 and today is that the trucking companies, we haven't had a big chance to step on our own feet, to step on our own toes. There haven't been a lot of trucks available for us to go out there and buy and add drivers to. As a matter of fact, most trucking companies let a lot of people go. They resize their fleet to kind of get rid of that old equipment and just keep those trucks that are running, taking advantage of a strong used truck market that was really set up, Drive Safe Dave, by a lot of company drivers saying, you know what, I want to go out there and create my own business. And it was a great time to go out and do it. However, the later you waited in 2020 to start that, or 2021 to start that business, you begin to way overpay for an old truck. And I'm not talking I'm talking about an old truck. I'm talking about a truck with 400,000 miles on it. I want to make sure that you know that odds are you paid more for that truck last year than the truck was than the truck was worth when it was bought brand new with 0 miles on it.
And I'm telling you, also, I think one of the disadvantages that we're having right now that we didn't have before is this high fuel price. I mean, I think it affects the market negatively in a couple of ways. I know that it doesn't really have anything to do with the volume of the shipping, but I do think it has a lot to do with the people going out and spending money on goods.
Well, but I think that talks to the volume of shipping as well, right? Because if you're not going out and buying anything right now because your cash is gone, right? That same month, all of a sudden now in that month, you're between inflation, between the fuel prices, you're out a couple $100. You're not going out and eating it again. You're not going out and buying that shirt with the 35 on it saying I'm going to tilt over if I walk crooked. None of that you're able to go out there and buy.
And you're staying off of things like Amazon, and your discretionary income has shrunk dramatically. And when discretionary income shrinks dramatically, goods and services suffer a lot. And that's one of the reasons why inflation is so dangerous. Because it does take away from people's ability to go out and spend, and we all run on an economy. We all run on a consuming economy.
Yeah, for certain. Hey, listen, we're going to be back with some more news for you. This is BCB Live. We're the safest station in the nation, and we'll be back to you in about 60 seconds. Welcome back to BCB Live. We are indeed that safest station in the nation. Drive Safe Dave. Has Mama made it back home yet?
She made it back yesterday. She made it back yesterday. It was very nice to finally have her back.
Did she get the house cleaned up?
Yes.
She did, or you did?
Well, I did that. I did that Drive Safe Dave drive-through. You know what I'm saying? Going through, picking up the things that were messy. But I will tell you, one of the great things that I had going on is I didn't mess up the kitchen once because I didn't cook anything.
You know what, Dave? And I'm just curious on that. I mean, what happens now? So when your wife goes out of town, typically the bars and the restaurants, they really thrive during that season. It's like its own season, right? Mrs. Dover's out. Hey, everybody, load the bars up, load the food up. Drive Safe Dave, living the bachelor life. Drive Safe Dave. How long was she gone for?
She was gone for 5 days.
How many nights did you go out and drink during that 5-day period?
3.
3 or 4?
No, just 3. I actually had 3, but I did do, and there was a couple of nights I stayed home and did the marathon documentary watching of television.
And what did you watch?
I watched a whole series on the Vietnam War on one of them, and then one day I did the Civil War.
I think you've watched those before.
I know, but I redid one of them.
Did you really watch TV, Dave?
Yes,
Are you coming up with? Talk to us. What was the most intriguing thing that you saw? Give me something heartfelt. When you watch that from Vietnam, what are your thoughts when any comparison between what you saw in Vietnam and what we see today?
Yes, absolutely.
There's
a lot of great comparisons about that. A major superpower bogged down in guerrilla warfare, and the guerrillas being resupplied by another major superpower in a safe area and restricted by their ability to bomb the incoming stuff. So, I mean, it makes it...
Are you talking about Planet of the Apes? I heard the gorilla. I thought we were talking Planet of the Apes. I thought we were talking. I saw that episode.
Read a little Mao Zedong, sir.
It's actually spelled differently too, by the way.
Do what?
Guerrilla warfare versus guerrilla. They're 2 different spellings.
You know what?
Yeah.
Oh, here you go. Hold on a second.
But they're homonyms,
Drive
sir.
Safe Dave.
They're homonyms.
Here you go. Hold on a second. I will right now. We'll add $100 to Friday's phrase that pays winner if you can spell either one of those gorillas right.
Gorilla. That's one gorilla, and the other one is Guerilla.
Can I get a confirmation on that?
Give me a second.
That first one
that should be right. I just want to.
Yeah, I think both of those are correct spellings.
All right. I'll probably give you the first one. Woo! Well, you know what? You can thank Drive Safe Dave for.
Wait, how do you spell it? How do you spell it?
Which one?
Guerrilla warfare.
Guerilla.
Nope.
Oh.
You didn't get it right.
Bam! It's over. No.
I got gorilla though. I got Gorilla.
Guerrilla.
Oh, 2 R's.
You know what? I should have known that. You know what? I'll still throw $100 in. You got one of them right.
I did get one. You said either
easy one.
Yeah,
the easy one.
I got.
But you went for
the one I sit
credit,
next to. I was able to spell right.
We got a hand raised. Do you want to let them speak their mind?
Let's go. Let's hear
go. I want to hear what
they
they got to say.
All right, Steven.
Okay, good morning. There's a third Gorillaz, the band Gorillaz.
Oh,
the who?
You know what? The Gorillas, dude.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know any songs. You could be making. I could be fake news, but
no, that is a band.
Because it goes against Drive Safe Dave.
That is a band.
That is a band. Okay.
What about Gorillas Glue?
That's still Gorilla. That's still, hence the monkey hence the big primate that is in the commercials.
Right, so I was going to say, were you a fan of Planet of the Apes or not?
I did enjoy that sci-fi flick.
So if you were one of them, I mean, I would be there's no doubt I'd be one of the doctors. You know, I would be one of the ones in like the brown outfit. I stood out from everybody else. You would bow down to me, Drive Safe Dave.
No,
I'm that gorilla that you're bowing down to.
No, I would be one of that. You are that gorilla I bow down to every day. What are you talking about?
I have never seen you bow down to anybody. Hey, Drive Safe Dave, let's talk a little supply. I know that your daughter is part of the that Frito-Lay network. What are you hearing from her and the?
She's having a hard time fulfilling the hot fries and the
hot fries, right?
The hot fries and the hot chips. They're having very big difficulty resupplying the hot chips. However, the Doritos still #1 on the Frito-Lay
Which
chip
Dorito
aisle.
brand?
Nacho cheese Doritos.
Not a fan of the nacho cheese.
I'm just saying it's #1.
Cool Ranch. That's different.
It's like
you wrap
number 4.
Some taco
it's like
meat
number
around
4.
that.
It's like number 4.
Oh, Dave, I think you're making things
No,
up now.
she told me. I said, what are the top 5? And she said that the nacho cheese Doritos was #1. Regular Lay's, the original Lay's potato chips, a solid #2. And then the chili cheese Fritos is a big one, and regular Fritos, and then Cool Ranch.
So I did see the chili cheese Fritos over in our brokerage office yesterday. But what I was impressed with, and I know we're just reaching here for a second, but the Zapp's chips. Is there a better jalapeno chip than the Zapp's? Or Zips or Zapp's?
Zapp's.
Zapp's. Is there a better chip than that? And does Frito-Lay make that?
No, they don't. That is not a Frito-Lay
I need
product.
a sponsorship from Zapp's. Zapp's, can you hear me? I'll talk your chips all day long. I just got to have a bag here to eat out
So
of.
you go into the grocery store, and I will tell you, if you go into the grocery store, you'll see my daughter's aisle, and then they'll have the secondary chip aisle. Like their aisle that's their aisle. Sometimes it'll be lengthy, like it'll be 2 sections, but there'll be the Frito-Lay aisle, and then it'll be the other people's stuff, like Pringles and.
I do. I will say that the aisles look like they're getting a little bit more full.
They are.
Right. I don't think we're seeing the shortage of that. I will still say that that price of the beef and chicken and pork still a little bit too high.
It is much too high.
I mean,
aren't most products? I mean, eggs and milk and pork and
9 to 10%. That's what they call it inflation for, right?
Yeah.
Everything is more expensive today. Hey, listen, we're going to come back to you in a minute. We have the phrase that pays, Dave, and I know it's a dandy, but I want to spend a little bit of time talking about what that phrase that pays. How we can take this week's phrase that pays and really use it to share it with other drivers, with other companies, to make our industry, to make our world just a little bit safer. All of that and more coming up next on BCB Live.
the safest station in the nation.
So is Tiger going to play in the Masters or not?
He should.
Well, but he was hurt. You realize that, right?
I get it, but he should.
So yeah, so he did go out and play a practice round yesterday at Augusta. There's a chance that he comes back. I don't think he's made the announcement yet. But drive safe, Dave. The Masters is never the same without Tiger.
That's not. That's why I say he should play. I enjoy watching him. You know what? Not only is he coming back to play, but I'm giving him odds that he might win.
First of all, nobody's even said he hasn't even made the announcement.
Are you counting him out? Are you counting out?
I will count him out right now.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Probably get a good call.
Let's go odds again. We tend to like
probably
to
a
bet.
good call.
Let's
probably good. I just enjoy watching. I mean, he's done so much for golf. Really, truly. He's
just in that bad car wreck about 14 months ago that almost took his leg away, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He's
46 years old, and him and his son Charlie, they played golf at the Augusta. Can you imagine being his kid and
the pressure?
Not actually pressure.
Yeah,
I mean, he's loaded for life. What kind of pressure are we talking about?
Be a great golfer.
The kid's already better than most adults already at the age of 14. Have you seen him? Have you seen him golf? Buckle up, Bob. I know you're getting ready over there. Have you seen the kid Charlie play golf?
One time.
You can play golf. I mean, he spins the ball and everything. Yeah, it spins it backwards. Drive safe, Dave. When he golfs, he can spin it forward.
And it bounces right off of the green and into the woods. Yeah.
Hey, drive safe, Dave. As we get ready, we talk a little Augusta. Let's talk phrase that pays, and let's tie Augusta into the phrase that pays, and then also safety world into it. I want three things. I want Augusta,
show up
the
the
world
phrase
of
that
safety, and all tied together to the phrase that pays.
All right, here we go. So let's do the phrase that pays, and we'll tie them all together. Listen to the safety show. Do your part and help our safety streaks grow.
Here we go.
Listen to the safety show. Do your part and help our safety streaks grow. Number one, to the industry. Obviously, if you're within the industry and you listen to the safety show, you'll get a little bit of knowledge, not only from Bob and everybody here, but you'll get it from the other drivers out there calling in and giving their words of wisdom to help you be better and to show video. Also, just like every great athlete, every great professional, they get an opportunity to watch tape like we do here. They watch video, they watch tape, and they'll learn that if you watch tape, you'll improve your skill set. I think Tiger and those people over there at the Augusta need to watch tape on themselves to get a little bit better.
Or perhaps Tiger could have taken a lesson from some of the things that we talk about. And I don't know if he was driving impaired or not, but something was fishy about that. Listen, when you're driving a big truck, you're not driving impaired. You can't drink. You can't have alcohol. You can't do that marijuana. You can't do any of that. Drive safe, Dave. We, on the trucking side, we run under the federal, right? We do not, even though it may be legal in your state. You may be from Arizona, you may be from Colorado, you may be from Nevada. You still can't smoke pot.
You can't.
And drive.
That's right. And you can't smoke it at all because it'll show up on a drug test.
Yes.
Don't get it in your life. We fall under the FMCSA, and you are not allowed at all to have that in your system whenever you operate a commercial motor vehicle.
And when you have a bad day, and they're out there, right? Detention, bad weather, lack of miles, the revenue's bad. You know what? You can't go into that store and grab you a beer and take it to your truck either.
No, don't put that thing in your truck.
Why not?
Because it's against the law. You can't.
Against the law.
The only place that you can carry alcoholic beverages is in the back, in the box back there in the back, in the reefer or in the dry box back there.
Yeah, and if you hear that pounding on the door, don't open it. Leave the door locked. Leave the shades locked.
Well,
more coming to you next.
Golly.
This is BCB Live, and we're the safest station in the nation.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Buckle up, Bob here. Going to get you started off with some quick traffic before we really dive into the weather, which is going to be the big topic. Hey, as we always start with the DFW area, again, typical stuff. There was some accidents this morning, I believe over here on the 635, but you can see a lot of issues going on this morning. The typical 35W northbound has some issues, downtown area, and then up north of the 820 loop as you get into that construction area on the 81 35W split. Always an issue, 30 eastbound, 20 eastbound as you cross 360 there, and not too bad at the 287 loop where it typically can be. And then again, the entire loop around Dallas has some issues. You can see it up north in Garland, over here by Mesquite, Balch Springs, and then again down here by Duncanville at the 67 merge point. So again, you're going to need to pack your patience, slow down, increase space. Stay tuned for our videos because we're going to see where that didn't happen. Folks, that is the best things you can do. The top 3 things you must do to avoid accidents, right? Yield the right of way, increase your space, decrease your speed. And as we look at the Houston area, we're going to see a little bit, again, typical, right? Inside issues, the loop looks pretty good, and then always have a problem on 10 eastbound as you get past Katy and 99 there. You start to have some issues, and the same thing on the tollway as you get in towards the inner city loops. Otherwise, Houston, you guys have a pretty good commute. Stay on the loops, and you're going to be your best bet this morning. Denver looks really good. Of course, it should, because it is only 6:30 in the morning there, right? So, again, not too bad in Denver this morning starting out. Everything's green. The loops look great. 70 looks good. A little bit of a problem coming through the passes. Coming from the east or from the west, eastbound. So be careful there. But otherwise, Denver, you're off to a pretty good start. Let's keep it that way. Hey, Kansas City, always green. Today is no different. Just a little bit of a problem here on 35 as you come up to the 695 near Shawnee. But other than that, everything looks great in Kansas. So again, you've got a good commute. Chicago looks great again. They've been that way for quite a while now. 80, 94 crossing the Indiana state line looks good. 55, no issues in Bolingbrook, which is usually a backup. 88 looks good at Aurora and Naperville as you come to the loop. 90 looks good up at Schaumburg and Elgin, as does 94 coming down from Wisconsin. So again, the loops all look good. 355, it's all green. Even inside the loop is pretty much green till you get really close to the downtown area. So you look great in Chicago this morning. Atlanta, always a problem. Today is no different, folks. Man, you've really got to time your Atlanta to avoid this if you can at all. Again, 20 westbound, problem as you approach the 285 loop. 85 backed up well past 316 this morning. 19 also an issue all the way to Alpharetta. And 75 has some stop and go spots. 20 from 6, past 6 actually, almost to Douglasville, coming in on the eastbound direction. And again, the loop from 20 on the west side, east side to 20 on the west side, going north on the northern part of that half, you're going to have some problems in both directions. Even the south loop has a problem on the northbound direction over by Ben Hill and Crooks Crossing. So again, remember, you have to take the loop unless you deliver in the city. It is a state law. You cannot pass through the city with a truck. And today, there is no good way. The southern part is your best option, going down around the airport, but really you're going to have to be patient today in Atlanta. As we look at Nashville, right, 31E has a problem this morning, which is usually clear. The typical 6524 north of the city. 40 merge point at 24, also typical. 40 itself looks good, and 24 always a problem on the northbound direction. It is backed up to Walnut Ridge. That is normal. So again, you've got looks like a pretty normal commute in the Nashville area. The only big exception is 31E, but the loop all looks good. 155, 440, you all look good going around Nashville this morning. The DC area, oof. Again, we got some issues. 395 looks bad. 66 all the way out to Fair Oaks on the eastbound side. The loop on the eastern side of it from Route 4 all the way up to the 95 split. Excuse me. You've got problems in both directions. So you're going nowhere on that east side. The west side of the loop looks pretty good. Typical slowdown near Annandale and Springfield. And then we said 66 from Fair Oaks to Idlewood already. As we look at our connectors, 270 coming down, also going to be an issue for most of that roadway. 95 and 295. 95 looks clear connecting Baltimore. 295, always a problem near South Laurel. So again, that is normal. And then as we look in the Baltimore area, Baltimore looks pretty decent. Looks like really dark maroon here on the southern part as you cross the bay. Probably an accident there. Usually that's what it is when it's that dark of a red. So be mindful that on the 695 loop, crossing the bay down here by Edgemere and Dundalk, you're going to have some problems and probably be sitting. So you want to avoid that if possible. Up at Pikesville, always an issue, same as Parkville. But all in all, Baltimore, you look really good compared to normal. So I think you're going to have a pretty good commute this morning. As we look in Philadelphia, right? New Jersey side, again, same area. Haddonfield to Belmar down to Deptford. That's where all the 295, 42, 55, they all merge. So you've got a lot of problems there. Our typical 95 coming down the southbound direction into Philadelphia is backed up along the river. Same as 476, right? Always from Marple Township down to 95. The Turnpike, 76. Is backed up all the way to Conshohocken and King of Prussia as it has been. 276 is the way to go. There's a little bit of slowdown near White Marsh, but other than that, you can get around the city pretty quickly and easily in the Philadelphia area this morning. Indianapolis. Indianapolis looks really good as well. 70 passing through looks good. Always got a little typical slowdown. That is not much as it drops down. You look good there. The loop looks good. 74 on the south side. 465 looks good. Don't even have the big backup here at the 69 split as normal. As same with the 65, 865. So again, if you're in the Indianapolis area, you should have a really great commute this morning, everybody. All right. Now, here's going to be the topic, folks. And drivers out there, I want you to take these winds seriously. Just since I started this morning around 6:30, we have already increased from 40 mile an hour gusts to 52 in Dodge City, Kansas. So again, 43 there. We've already got some 40 mile an hour gusts. And again, there it is, Grand Bend, 36. So we got 45 mile an hour gusts. So I can't find it right now because I'm not sure where it is. But you can see the winds are bad. Again, already at 40 mile an hour gusts. And here you can see the dark purple gets worse, especially out here where these thunderstorms are going to be. Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, up into Tennessee, right? The Boot Hill, Missouri, southern Illinois. You're going to see some strong wind gusts. We're going to be in that upper 30s potentially, as you can see, all the way up from the middle of Texas all the way up into Nebraska. So again, we're going to be dealing with the wind again today. Folks, we had some videos yesterday where there were some drivers blown over. These winds are serious. They are gusting. There were some 100 mile an hour winds yesterday up in Nebraska reported. We showed a lot of 62, 65 degree winds. Doesn't matter how heavy you are. Once it gets above 45, you can be blown over. So you start approaching that 50, you really need to get off the road. If you're empty or under 10,000 pounds, that number needs to be 40 miles per hour. You need to be looking at getting off the road. And so let me clear this up a little bit so you can kind of see just what that's going to look like. There you go. So this is at 1 p.m. already, right? And as we go through, you can see it lightens up a little bit this evening, but you still got pockets. We start to develop more in New Mexico, Colorado, right? While keeping some strong winds in Nebraska and Kansas. Texas lightens up, as does Oklahoma, but you can see Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, southern Illinois is going to continue to be strong. And then as we go 11 p.m. tonight, again, they're still strong in the Alabama, Tennessee. It moves up into Ohio, Indiana. The other thing we want to look at, too, is we want to show you there are some warnings right now. And earlier in the week, we had that 50-car pileup in Pennsylvania on that black ice. It's there again today. Right now, they've got warnings. There's no alerts per se, but they're giving winter ice patches, and they're calling it a very thin glaze. So, folks, you have to take that serious, because what it's doing is you think you're on wet roads, and the ice is so thin you don't even know it. And that's going to be posted. They've got almost every roadway has that alert till 2 p.m. this afternoon as you move east on it. So once you get to that 81 where the accident, I-81 where the accident happened earlier in the week, that's where kind of the warnings start to end, and the temperatures are supposed to get above freezing. So we do expect it to end by 2 p.m., but you just got to be mindful. Right now, it is very patchy ice. The temperatures are changing. You know, if you drive them hills in Pennsylvania, you can go through 3 seasons in about a mile coming down a hill. So again, upper elevation's going to be icy, some coming down the hill. You just can't drive on the ice, folks, and we want you to be very aware of that. You can see a lot of snow up in Minnesota and the Dakotas, and then a lot of rain as it comes down through the Midwest. You can see the outline of those storms, and we will show them here now. So there you go. These all passed through last night. I believe this morning I heard there was a fatality in Missouri, maybe, where a tornado potentially may have touched down. So again, not the outbreak we had last week, but they are expecting these storms to produce tornadoes. And as we put it in motion, we can kind of see if it, it didn't. I must have missed it. There we go. You can kind of see a lot of lightning, see the direction, and it kind of stays and holds together. So again, we'll be keeping an eye on that as well. But when you're running this, the rain is heavy, your vision is compromised, you need to get off the road and let this pass through. Typically, these things move pretty quickly. So as you can see, it's moving more north than east. So it's just going to kind of funnel right up, into St. Louis. The I-44 corridor is going to be hammered today, so just be ready for that. And we've already got the winds to go along with this heavy rain. So your visibility is going to be compromised, and then you're going to have the winds blowing you all over the place. So be mindful of that. Don't drive in it. Tune in to your local area stations. Get that updated weather. They do expect tornadoes to be produced from this as the day goes by. So you got to be prepared for that. And then behind it, we have all that wind that we're already seeing. So, hey, we're going to take a quick, we want to also give you a quick, because we're getting into that season. We want to show you the fire map. And so, again, as we look in, some of the ones that are really bad is this Crittenberg. So when we hit it, 33,000 acres, right? 52 square miles almost. And then this one's right along 20, the Kidd Fire, 42,066 square miles. And it's right on there. Don't drive through smoke. Now, the problem is the Kidd one is joined up with the Eastland. Let me see if I can get that one. There we go. And the Eastland has 54,000 acres and 85 square miles. So when you look at those two areas, they're all combined. You've got over about 140, 150 square miles of burnt down, and it's burnt everything in its path. The other ones are really small comparatively to 1,000 to 1,500 acres, but still dangerous. Do not drive in smoke. And again, we're getting ready to go into that fire season where Arizona, New Mexico, California, right, Utah, all of them, Colorado, we start to see them pop up. But right now, Texas, due to the drought, is really a hot box for some fires, and we do have some pretty good ones burning. Hey, we'll take a quick break and be right back with some safety.
Welcome back to BCB Live, safest station in the nation. Buckle up, Bob, as we dive into the safety. You know, what are the topics we want to keep pressing on this week?
This week we're talking about turning safely. We started with the right turn, the left turn yesterday, and then the one that should never be made. You've got to avoid it at all costs, and that's the U-turn. It never works out well. It can only go bad, really. And again, most of the time is, you know, drivers don't realize what the equipment does, right? A sharp U-turn, the rear end of the trailer actually backs up 3 to 4 feet and swings out. So what you thought was a foot or two clearance isn't really clearance at all, right? It takes about 15 to 30 seconds for a driver to execute a U-turn with a big rig, right? And then again, you know, it's unlikely that a driver of an 18-wheeler could see a vehicle a quarter mile away just before turning. So again, that's not very far when you look at some of the speeds. And again, the headlights at night attempted can actually do more harm than good when you make those U-turns. So again, they're almost always fatal to the driver or the front seat passengers of the oncoming vehicle. Sorry, I can't talk this morning. So again, U-turns there's nothing good. There's no good statistics about them at all. You've got to avoid them. Go down, find a safe route to turn around, right? If you're in a parking lot at a customer, get help. Just get some help. Have them move cars if you have to. Do not try to attempt it. Don't be the hero, no matter what they show. Sometimes the customers, I've heard stories where they'll try to shame a driver and say, hey, the other driver's going to do it, right? Why can't you? And you just got to realize.
The old shame trick. Don't fall for it.
Don't fall for it.
And no matter what you see, I know we see Drive Safe Dave saying, hey, as long as you go under 35, you can do a U-turn. That is not what we are saying here whatsoever. That is not endorsed by Buckle Up Bob or Sir Rick. So I want to make sure that you see that side as well. Even at 35, Drive Safe Dave, we do not want to encourage them to do U-turns.
This is not a U-turn emblem, but just so you know, this is a rollover emblem. So thank you. Good job on the sign identification. I will tell you, though, that never on a highway. 2 left turns is a U-turn, so just make sure you go down and you can quickly find a good safe base, just like Bob. Some of the most horrific accidents that I've heard of are always guys trying to do a U-turn in the middle of a highway in the middle of the night or what have you, and it just winds up being disastrous. I mean, it is, without question, so fatal. You just should never put that sail sideways on a highway at any time. So don't try to flip it in the road. Don't try to flip it. Make sure you get into a safe, secure area. If you do need to turn around, you know, like a parking lot or what have you, just find a good area to do that if you can't turn around in that spot. Sometimes you get to an area that you may, like you have to back up. If you do, get out, look, try to find some guidance, and perform the 3-point turn. The 3-point turn is where you back in and then you pull forward, and that way you don't do the UE. So you can commit the 3-point turn. It is a U-turn in and of itself, but the 3-point turn is necessary sometimes.
All right.
Wow. Thank you for that. All right, and let's show some videos here.
We've had a good week, but we're going to have a lot to learn from today, unfortunately. But here's a good one. Driver's able to stop, and there goes a four-wheeler. And the thing to remember, you've heard Drive Safe Dave talk about it. What's really bad about these intersections is this driver does the right thing and stop, but that vehicle on the left is now blocked and cannot see anything, whether that truck is going to start or stop or continue going. And of course, it creates another blind spot for the other vehicle and a dangerous situation. That's why you've got to just adopt in your heart and believe in your mind that you have to prepare to stop at every one of these, no matter what.
2003, 2004, 2005, 2006. A guy runs that red light 6 seconds after it changes to red.
That's not true.
No.
I will challenge
you were counting on yellow.
Right.
Was I counting on yellow? Okay.
Yeah, so
right,
6 seconds after it turns yellow,
no,
maybe.
Okay. 1001, 1002.
No, it's still yellow.
Oh, okay.
Now it's red.
I'm looking at my red. Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
Another reason why the intersections are dangerous because there's so many different lights.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the wrong one. Great job, Drive Safe Dave.
Look at the wrong light.
Yeah, and here, this driver, again, what we want to look at, we talk about being the safest. Hey, back off here a little bit in case something goes wrong.
Too close already.
Yeah, it is. The speed was down, okay, but again, something can go wrong and you have no out. You can see all the traffic zooming by in the left lane, so there's nowhere to go. Just give yourself that space so you have that extra time to react.
1001, 1000. 1,001, 1,000.
Yeah.
You got to get a little bit further than that to that 4-second range. And I know you probably feel like you're doing okay in this, but you just don't know what's in front of the truck in front of you. There's blind spots there, and we've got to be ready and have that ability to stop so we don't hit or have to, even go into that shoulder as well.
Yes, sir. Again, here, this is
Kentucky.
I am guilty of this, so I don't know what happened here, but I'm going to assume distraction, that you don't see the light coming around the curve, because I do get, especially in beautiful scenery, I see that water. I'm probably gazing at it, but here, the light is in this picture plenty. You can see it back here, yellow. You can see it change, and yet the driver was not able to stop in the intersection, now forced to go through. Again, you have to pay attention to your surroundings. The speed limit was there at 45. The speed was under the speed limit, but you got to pay attention to the signs and look at them intersections. It's kind of out there and nowhere, but again, you got to be ready for that. Know your surroundings. And here, you got to back off. You're on a bridge. Where are you going? Right? You've got no out except down, and that's not a good one. Never a good choice. You're tailgating, right? Get out of there. Just back off and be patient. And now this truck's going to brake check you. I mean,
that's what I'm going to say. And producer comes in there and says it right with us on that. It's an evergreen, right? I mean, they're known for making bad decisions.
Getting stuck.
In the roadway, in the waterway. It doesn't matter. Yes, be careful when you get close to these evergreens. You never ever know.
Yeah, just be patient, folks. That's all it takes. A little bit of patience. All right, and here, had good. This is why you have to have the speed and space, right? Man, able to stop. You can see the roadway. But one of the things here that I can't see is there's no lights on this truck, Drive Safe. There's no brake light. That truck was almost stopped. There's no brake lights. There's no top lights on this XPO trailer in front. So, again, really got to know your situation and realize, this is hard to, maybe see that, but you can always measure that. You can see that you're closing the gap soon, quickly. So right now you got to be on the brake because you're closing pretty quick.
Yeah, you can see it right now. And granted, I'm going to go with you. No lights. It's the first thing I noticed as well. We've got to pay attention to what we're doing. That's a situational awareness. We're approaching this vehicle way too fast. We see it right now. We're there. We've got to be on the brakes right now. Slowing down. Again, we still had, I believe, some concrete in front of us, but we just want to make sure that those are the tough things. Dave, I know you've been over the road. You come across these situations how many times a day?
Typically, a trailer without lights is not as common as you think. But
traffic stop.
Traffic stop like that, very common. I mean, you're going to do it. You should be on your hazards right now, identifying, letting people behind you know that you're coming to a complete stop on a freeway. Communicating with them that there's a potential danger behind you and in front of you. But a good job stopping, controlling the lane. I do like that the driver took a look over to the right. I do like the fact that he didn't try to force himself into the traffic on the left. Driver did a really good job of stopping here.
So being on the road, when you're in that right-hand lane, I mean, and I know we're oftentimes supposed to be in that right-hand lane, but it's just stop and go when you're in the traffic lanes. We see multiple lanes in here, right? I mean, it's stop and go, stop and go. You've got to be prepared to stop when you are in that right-hand lane.
Yeah, when you have 3 lanes, 4 lanes, 5 lanes, you want to try to, unless you're exiting or you're trying to find an exit, or unless you want to try to stay out of the merge lane as much as possible. Run in the number 3 lane or the number 2 lane if you have to, but don't run in the number 4 or the number 3 if it's the merge lane. Make sure that you take care of yourself in that lane, but try to avoid that. But sometimes I don't know. It may have been the next exit for this driver. It may have been 2 exits down.
I agree with you. And I'm saying, but when you're in that lane, you just
you
have to be
prepared.
ready. It's going to happen. You've got to be prepared. And if you're in the lane next to it, Dave and Bob, then you got to prepare for somebody to jump out in front of you.
Yes, they will.
That's
1 out of 5.
Well.
We see 1 out of 5 in a slow lane will get impatient and jump out.
Yeah, just situational awareness. Again, something we want to just talk a little bit about. We have one more video?
No, that was it. But the good thing, I guess if there's a good thing, we always talk about speed and space go hand in hand. The speeds in every one of these videos, 4 out of the 5 were under 50 or 50 miles or less, and the other one was under 60. So again, don't forget that yes, speed is a part of it, but so is that space. Watch your spacing, and if it's closing quickly, then your speed is still too fast, no matter what the speed limit says. So again, great job, drivers, at focusing on the speed reduction in these areas, but you also got to keep control of that space. We've seen a lot of space issues in 3 of the videos. So make sure that you don't forget about the second half of that equation to be safe, is watch that space.
Yeah, that's situational awareness. We talk about it all the time, and we'll continue to bring that up. It's just important in what we do because, again, it allows you to make a decision based on really every 2 seconds, 5 seconds, every second you are in a different situation. In some of those videos, we saw that, right? You're riding next to the water, the situation. Maybe you're in an unfamiliar area, right? And that light wasn't the easiest light to see.
No.
Nope.
You know, it wasn't. It was one of those weird lights there. However, when you've got to make sure you're slowing down, and I'm going to say, yes, a mistake was made. Driver stopped, but at some point he or she saw that, you know what, I'm making a bad decision, and they still stopped and made the best of a bad decision. Maybe they stopped right there to make sure nobody else was going to go, and then they carried forward. I get it. Sometimes, you know what, y'all are driving so many times, you're doing so many things right, that all it takes is one incident, Dave, and we don't see it on our videos, right, in our cars. When we make a bad decision, when we challenge that stale yellow light, we don't see that. Y'all do, right? I mean, you get that opportunity to see that and make yourself that much better of a driver, that much skilled of a position. That's what you do. And imagine if you saw that with your kids. You know what they're doing, your wife, yourself, right? What you would say to yourself when you just saw yourself on the phone, you saw yourself running that yellow light.
Yeah, I'm guilty of it. I've always driven a little bit differently in the car than I drove in the truck, just because of the height and just because it was a much different drive. But still, the rules apply in what you're talking about, how important it is, and it doesn't matter who we're talking to out there on the road. There was, for whatever reason, the driver didn't see the light, right? For whatever reason, wasn't able to identify the light. I will tell you were able to see lights going the other direction, but you didn't see the ones coming your direction really quickly. I think that you just got to be aware and pay attention to what's going on and stay focused.
Hey, but I want to talk about something you brought up, because you drive different in your car than you do the truck. The courts, the law, they don't agree with what you said there, though, right?
Correct.
No, but I do drive differently.
I understand. So does everybody else. However, the laws and the courts, they're not agreeing with what you say, because if in fact you say that, but you get a speeding ticket in your car, it's going to count against you the same as it was in your big truck.
No, okay. First of all, and I get what you're saying. I meant maybe I said that a little bit differently. I look at I use a rear view mirror. I drive probably a little bit closer than I do in a vehicle, in a 4-wheeler, than I do in an 18-wheeler.
So what I was trying to get at was, I think Bob got me on that, is that for our drivers out there that may say the same thing, it doesn't apply. You know what happens in your car, what happens on your motorcycle, the courts and the juries and the law doesn't agree that you can do one different than the other. It says you are the same in your car as you are in the truck. Right, Buckle Up?
Right. The laws are the same irregardless. The only thing that you can see occasionally is maybe some bias against truck drivers, right, in an accident. But the law doesn't change. But you might see some bias with some law officials and whatnot. And clearly, states that you try these cases in can be biased, but the laws never change. They are the same no matter what.
If you're speeding in your personal car and your motorcycle, and you're going through a construction zone, and it's your personal vehicle, and maybe you just got back from that long weekend, you hopped on that motorcycle, you zip down going 55 and a 30, you get pulled over, it's going to count against your CDL.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, there's no, you can't go and say, well, it was my it's all treated the same when it comes to that. Drive safe, Dave, you don't agree?
If you're breaking the law, I agree 100%. The law is the law. I wasn't talking about breaking the law. I was talking about the way
bringing
He's
it back
missing the
to
point.
him, right? He's missing the point. So if you can, let's just bring it on this side as we close out the show, and we say a prayer for Drive Safe
Yes.
Dave. Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for everything. We thank you for blessing us with all that we have. We ask a special prayer on our buddy Drive Safe Dave, as we always do, just to help him, and help us around him. We also ask, Lord, you be with our drivers as they're out there. Just keep them safe on the road. Keep them, that ability to stay focused and recognize the different situations they come across all the time. It's so tough out there. Just be with them. Be with the leaders of the world. Help us all just to love one another. It's in your son's name we pray. Amen. Everybody, thank you for joining BCB Live featuring Drive Safe Dave, where it's all about Drive Safe Dave. Only on BCB Live,
The safest station in the nation.